chosen the next gouge, which is a fishtail, or in this case more of a spade, so that the sweep of the fishtail matches the sweep of the bigger gouge. That means that I can, if I want to at any time, clean up that sort of little defect with this gouge, so it's always available for that as I go along. The other thing is that the width from corner to corner of this gouge perfectly is a sort of perfect match, so that it goes from this point here where the centre line meets the edge here round to the edge of the main leaf, so, and I'm going to stab that in there, but it also picks up this curve here. So it's matching that curve. So what we have to do is we have to make 4 cuts, 1 cut, 2 cuts, cuts on this side here, and a cut here, that now define a little secondary leaf in the middle. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4. You push this corner in this direction more into the wood, so you're actually coming vertically down and parallel to this surface where the fillet is down the bottom here. So left, right, left, right, left, right, all the way along from one end to the other. The next stage is to remove these little triangles of wood here. You could use a fishtail chisel like this, but I prefer to carry on with the tool I have in hand, which is actually a very flat gouge. The movement is to come sliding along the side like this to remove the wood. But what you'll find, 2 things you can find, is that the grain of the wood here, whether it's rising up or going down, that can make a difference as to whether you go in this direction or you do it in this direction. Also, if you haven't stabbed down enough, this wood is not going to come out. So you may have to, until you get to into the rhythm of it, you may have to just go backwards and forwards a little bit. What we're trying to do is to remove any sense of this edge here. So we don't really want that bit there, and we want to make sure that this comes down and that all this is nice and neat here. So just checking that everything is nice and tidy as we go along. So as we finish these little bits here, we want to be able to say that all this, so far, all this is nice and tidy, and we don't have to go back and clean anything up. So clean up as you go along and just nick out those little bits there and any other little bit that you've missed. The next stage is to give some shape to these little secondary leaves. Using the same tool, you take a slice here that goes from the midline, takes a cut along the midline down to the edge like that in one direction. So you go along like this, all the lefts in the same way, and again make sure this is all tidy. Then you can turn round and come back up the other way, taking a slice in this direction. And what you're trying to leave is a ridge here in the middle that catches the light nice and neatly down the centre. So that should be a pretty symmetrical ridge down the middle and a symmetrical leaf. But in fact, I mean, I'm just tinkering around at the moment, but we want to be able to do this in one good cut, one cut like this and one cut like that, leaving the ridge neatly in the middle. So we've created the big leaves here, the secondary leaves and the eye, and now we need to shape this little bit in the middle. I've asked Carrie to turn the camera around so that she can, so you can see a little bit better. On this centre line here, I've got a fishtail chisel, and I'm going to put it straight down, vertically down here, and hit it with a mallet. And what I want to do is be very careful not to stab into the back wall here. So just on the centre line there, stamp down. You could go a little bit further. You could just wrap it round a little bit. So you'd work all the way along and make those cuts. So to shape the leaf itself, you can use the gouge you've got and coming up like this. This is the flatter gouge that we've been using all the way along. Working on both sides like this here. But I prefer to actually swap it to something bigger because I want to make more of this here. So I want to make this quite deep. Using the tool upside down, like this. And as you come over, up over the top, trying to get a sense of this and trying to merge this groove down the bottom and this face over onto the top. So that you come, so this tool is almost able to come all the way over from one to the other, like that. So you might take a little bit of this wastewood out here, this chip with the skew chisel lined up along the back wall here. So you can take a little bit out there, like this. And then, to really finish this off, you can come to the side like this, and this gouge sort of matches, can you see how it matches this shape? So we can make a final cut over here, like this, from one side, trying to merge that in. When you see these mouldings, it's very often you do see facets from the tools. They were cut very quickly, mile after mile, and so you do see this rather lively faceting, and you also see them very smooth as well. I want to make this point again about this cut here from this direction. You can see that the tool wraps its way over like this from one to the other, and depending on how deep you go in here, how much you cut down into there, so you get more or less of this curve, and you need to decide how you play it and make sure that you're consistent right the way across the carving. So once you've checked everything over, made sure these stab marks here give you a little accent, the Waterleaf moulding is finished.